The purpose of this space is to create a very safe environment for people to share a moment of their lives.
Located one block north of St. Paul's Hospital, Downtown Denture Center features complete and partial teeth restoration options. With 35 years experience, Anthony Chung offers mobile services and emergency repair consultation 24 hours a day. Downtown Denture Center, just off Nelson at 970 Burrard in the lobby of the Electra Building.
My name is Fender Benavides from Drive Promoters in Quillam, serving the Filipino community for the past 4 years. Whether you're looking for a minivan, car, truck, SUV, or a crossover, guaranteed financing available. I am here to help. Salamat po.
Cowley & Company, car accident lawyers representing personal injury and disability victims in the Lower Mainland. A former chiropractor, Lee Cowley has more than 20 years' experience as an attorney in BC. Locations include Abbotsford and Burnaby, with a head office in Surrey, on 104 Avenue at 138th Street.
Foodie World presents Philippine Street, featuring a large selection of Filipino foods. From imported non-perishable products to both packaged seafood and locally caught and very much alive. Foodie World is 75,000 square feet of worldly groceries situated in North Richmond.
All the stories that you're going to hear tonight are personal in nature, some of which can encroach on dark topics as addiction, abuse, self-harm, and you may get triggered by them. And if you do, there's a beautiful lounge to the back of XY that you can go down, chill out, get your composure. When you're ready, you can come and join us. Welcome, everyone. My name is Winston Young. I am your host tonight for another episode of Voice Story Live. We ask you to refrain from photography and video recording, but if you must take a picture or take a video, can you please do so without the flash? Because the speakers on stage are trying to hold it together hard enough already, and they don't need the distraction. Now, with that being said, I would ask that you put your phone in airplane mode right now, and that's purely because if you put it on silent mode, what happens is that in the back of your head, you're just trying to pay attention as to when it's going to actually vibrate. And you're not present for the people in the room, for the speakers, and most importantly, for yourself. So if you can do that, that would be great. Thanks, Shanann. To go with what Shanann said, I too believed very, very much the thoughts that went through my head. It's not a favorite story of mine, but it's one that I tell all the time, where when I grew up, I was placed in an environment that was not very supportive. And the example goes like, come home, nice and proud, running with my math test score, show it to my mom and say, hey, look, got 100%. She looks at it and said, why didn't you do better? I'm like, I got a perfect score. I don't know how I could have done better. She goes, you didn't get the bonus question. And from that moment, I realized that no matter how hard I tried, the world that I was in would label me as you're not good enough, you're not doing enough. And that sent me on a really wicked trajectory of proving to the world that I was enough, proving to the world that I was better than anyone else. And that's just, that's not achievable. As much as you think you can, it's not achievable. So I'm going straight up, trying to prove to the world that I'm enough, and hating myself every single moment, every single day. and went spiraling downwards into depression and substance abuse and alcohol to try and numb the pain. So that was a majority of my life. And then May 3rd, 2013 happened. I don't know if that's just a critical moment in time that everyone locks onto. But I made a decision, and you had to let go of this past. As much as I didn't want to, I go, this world defined me. This, as Shanann put it, this costume, this mask is what I put out to the world, and this is who I am. And I had to go let that go. So if I let it go, what am I? What do I identify with when this mask no longer exists? Who am I as a person? It took me 5 years to realize I am who I am, and I didn't need the mask. And I had to let go a lot of relationships which I held on to as being real when I realized were just totally dysfunctional. With that, our next speaker went through a life that when I choose not to compare to, but if I did, makes mine look like a walk in the park. And she too had to go and transcend what she went through in order to let go and become who she is. And I invite Lise Lavigne to the stage to share her story.
My hug.
There you go.
Thank you, Winston. Hi, everyone. Oh, yes, that's right. Let's go back to 1972. One very early November morning, I'm 7 years old. I'm sleeping in my bedroom, which I shared with my younger brother, who's 5 years old, and one of my older brothers, who was 19. They shared a bunk bed, and I was sleeping in my own bed. Suddenly, like I'm sleeping, and suddenly I hear my dad's voice yelling so loud, "Coco, Coco, wake up, your mother's dead." I didn't know what was happening. I slowly get out of bed, and I rub my little eyes, and I start walking to my parents' bedroom. And what do I see? I see my mom lying there, her right arm stretched out, and she was just lying like this, right? Like with her arms stretched out over the bed. Lifeless. And she was all white. And then I heard my father talking to my brother Coco, my older brother Coco, but I couldn't understand what they were saying. All of a sudden, Coco left the room. And then, shortly after that, my favorite aunt, who lived across the street from us, she rushes into our house, and she grabs me and my baby brother and from the bedroom, and she takes us to the living room. And then not too long after that, my other siblings with their girlfriends or their wives, they came over, because my parents, they had 5 kids, and then for a long, long time, they didn't have any. Then they had me and my younger brother, so there's a big, big gap. And then more aunts and more uncles and cousins. Like, all of a sudden, like, the whole house was full of people. But nobody was talking to me and my baby brother, Jean-Guy. Nobody. Nobody explained to us what has happened to our mom. Nobody comforted us. I did not even cry. In fact, I didn't even cry until I was in my 20s. My mom had left us alone. Yes, she died. But back then, I thought, my mom left us with our dad. And our dad was abusive. Our dad was abusing his children physically, emotionally, and sexually. My only source of love was my mom, and she was gone. Growing up, I always felt this void inside. I was craving love so bad, but I never received it. With all the abuse that was going on, I believed that I was not important. It didn't take long for me to start thinking that I was not valuable and I was not worthy of respect at all. I was always searching to fill this void inside of me all my life. And I did that by making other people happy. I desperately searched for love all the time. It's always my goal in life. Get love any way you could. Everything I did was to get love from others. Unfortunately, I didn't know any better, and I went about it the wrong way. Now, fast forward to my mid-20s, after ending an unhappy 7-year marriage. I guess I got the 7-year itch. I was free to do whatever I wanted, right? And oh my gosh, there are a lot of temptations out there. So many men, but so little time. But you know what I did? I fell in love with my boss. He was kind and gentle and so caring towards me. I worked very long hours. Well, we both did. And that's how we became very close. No one ever treated me so well. So I began to have an affair with my boss. And yes, he was married. And I'm the one who seduced him. Oh my gosh, when I was, like in the past, when I was younger, my sister would watch The Edge of Night and General Hospital. I remember. And I would call, some of the storylines, and there's a lot of people cheating. And I remember thinking, why are these single women having sex with married men? I would never do such a thing. That is so frigging stupid. But here I was. Here I was having an affair with a married man for just over 6 years. Yeah, that's right. I didn't think of what this was doing to their marriage, especially his wife. My gosh. It felt so good being with him. I didn't care about anything else. I felt good, and I felt cared for. That's all that mattered to me. The hell with the consequences. But at night, I was very lonely because he was home with his wife, and I was home alone. And the only thing that kept me going was the fact that he would promise me one day he will be with me. He would leave his wife to be with me, right? But at one point, At one point, I was even afraid to lose him because he had children of his own, but then he started talking to me that he'd never wanted more children and he did not want me to get pregnant. So I was afraid to lose him. So I wanted him to trust me. So I went to see my doctor, and I told my doctor I wanted my tubes tied. My tubes tied. I'm French. The words sometimes don't come out of my mouth. I wanted my tubes tied, and my doctor said, Lise, you're too young for this. Maybe you want more children. And I said, no, this is what I want. So I had my tubes tied because I wanted him to trust me. Isn't it funny that I was doing everything I could for him to trust me, but of course I couldn't trust him because he was still having sex with his wife, and so he should, but I eventually broke up with him because I was sick and tired of waiting for him. I finally got the point that, okay, he will never leave his wife. And he was just making empty promises. After I broke up with him, I had lots of other men, even other married men, if you can imagine that. Yeah, I've had many, many boyfriends. My relationships with men were very unhealthy. It seemed like my life had been a forever long heartbreak. I was struggling to find love and happiness. One day, I was determined to figure out why this was happening. So I turned to God. That was my last resort. I turned to God for help because I knew I couldn't do this on my own. And various things happened, but then I got the opportunity to attend this 9-month-long course. Oh my gosh, it was like giving birth to a baby. 9 months. And it was a whirlwind of emotions, really. During that, it was a transformational course, obviously, and lots of anger and regret and shame and guilt and sadness, like all these things that I was feeling inside all my life, finally came out, right? And it was tough. It was really, really tough, but it was so worth it. And my first realization was that people who are hurting hurt others. And I'm sure you've heard that before, but I had not. So knowing this fact allowed me to have compassion for people, especially the people that have abused me. I was therefore able to forgive all of them. And I was able to forgive myself for the actions that I thought I did wrong. And my second realization was that I am a creation of God, and God doesn't make junk, right? He just doesn't. I am wonderfully made. And there's only one person like me, just like there's only one person like you, like you, like you. And He loves us all. It's just humans that are hurting, that bully other people and call them names and don't accept others. But God loves everyone. It was so freeing to let go of the pain that I had inside. And this happened like in my mid-40s. Like I'm 53 now. It's almost 10 years ago. When I started to, it was freeing to let go of the pain that I had built up inside over the years. And when I started to accept and love myself, I stopped allowing destructive relationships into my life. I had no idea that I had the power to change my life. Imagine that. Once I realized this, I took my power back and I transformed who I was. The emptiness I felt inside for years has been filled with love and peace and hope. The pain that we carry in our hearts affect how we think and what decisions we make in life. I tell you, I developed really bad habits because of the way I viewed myself. I wish I had known this in my early years, but hey, I had my own journey. The sooner we deal with our skeletons, the sooner our life change. So I began to tell other women about my transformation, and I became a support for other women. I discovered that we don't have to live in emotional turmoil, and we do have the power to decide what to accept in our life. It's now my mission to disrupt the status quo in people's lives so they can break free from emotional pain and flood the world with love. When we release our past and clean our hearts, we take back our power and begin to improve our direction in life. What are you waiting for?
You're awesome.
Located 1 block north of St. Paul's Hospital, Downtown Denture Center features complete and partial teeth restoration options. With 35 years experience, Anthony Chung offers mobile services and emergency repair consultation 24 hours a day. Downtown Denture Center, just off Nelson at 970 Burrard in the lobby of the Electra Building.
Cowley & Company, car accident lawyers representing personal injury and disability victims in the Lower Mainland. A former chiropractor, Lee Cowley has more than 20 years experience as an attorney in BC. Locations include Abbotsford and Burnaby, with a head office in Surrey, on 104 Avenue at 138th Street.
88 Supermarket in the Killarney neighborhood features local and imported produce, fresh as well as frozen seafood, a variety of foods catering to the Filipino community, and day-to-day Western products. Full-size grocery store is open 7 days a week until 10 p.m. 88 Supermarket in Killarney. Centrally located in the Richmond Auto Mall since 1984, Richmond Honda features a large selection of Honda-certified pre-owned vehicles. Inside the showroom, Honda's newest models are displayed for viewing, and the dealership is staffed 7 days a week for financial consultation.
All the stories that you're going to hear tonight are personal in nature, some of which can encroach on dark topics as addiction, abuse, self-harm, and you may get triggered by them. And if you do, there is a beautiful lounge to the back of XY that you can go down, chill out, get your composure, and when you're ready, you can come and join us. And there's times when one person can just enter your life, say something, and then your life takes on a whole new trajectory. In my life, the last couple of years, June 7th has been a pivotal moment. 2 years ago on June 7th, I met my friend who ran a workshop that really unlocked my trajectory by introducing me to a new definition of forgiveness. And then 1 year later, I said to myself, wow, that was the craziest year ever. I don't think I could ever surpass that. And now looking back, you never ever make declarations like that to the universe because it has infinite power and it'll prove me wrong. And it did. So exactly 1 year later, the story that I'm not going to tell today, but I was on a date, waiting for my date to arrive. A lady walks into the door of the restaurant that I've been sitting at for 40 minutes, and like Sita, like there was something about her that I just couldn't take my eyes off of. And she sat down, and I was compelled to have a conversation, and we had a conversation. From that, we connected, and then one day we were walking, just having a conversation, and she said to me, she asked me questions like, yeah, Winston, what do you do what you do? And I gave her an answer. And then she said to me, what would your life be like if you let go of what you think your life would be like? And I stopped. She kept walking. And for the critical thinker that I am, it threw me for a loop. I'm like, what did you say? She said, you heard me. Turned around, smiled, kept walking. And that statement took hold and took root in my head. Like it was a virus, like it just would not go away. What would my life be like if I let go of what my life would be like? And I go, this is some crazy ass word puzzle or something that I could not bend my brain around it. Until I realized if I just let go, just had a bit of faith and let go and just followed my gut, what could happen? And to be honest, tonight happened. Right now happened because of that conversation. Because when I tell the story and I look back, and if I take the little marker points and draw them out on a timeline for you, and then I connect all the dots, you couldn't plan, I couldn't plan this. It's absolutely impossible to plan something this perfect, that randomly, every day. So I stopped trying. So like today, people ask me, so Winston, are you ready? I'm like, I'm never ready. I have no idea what's gonna happen today because I have like 1,000 different thoughts going through my head of what I'm gonna say, what I'm gonna do, and then one of my speakers said to me, it's like, Winston, I don't know what to say. Like I totally forgot what I'm gonna say. I'm like, don't worry about it. Take a breath, relax. It's gonna happen, just like this. And I invite Jessica Coulthard to the stage to share her story. And you need this.
Like that, yes.
Okay, if you can
And
hold
I'm
this.
short, so
You're short.
I need it down. Jeff was handsome, athletic, popular, had a great job, caring, funny, and he loved me. In February of 1995, we bought our first house. And in early 1996, we had our son. I thought life was amazing, life was good. And I wanted it all by the time I was 30. Well, by the time I was 26, in fact, 5 days after I turned 26, I had all of that, because that was the day that my son was born, and it was my trifecta.
models are on display at Freeway Mazda. New Mazda sedans, crossovers, and SUVs surround the facility, and fully loaded versions occupy the floor of the showroom. At Freeway Mazda, 154th Street and 104 Avenue in Surrey. Located 1 block north of St. Paul's Hospital, Downtown Denture Center features complete and partial teeth restoration options. With 35 years experience, Anthony Chung offers mobile services and emergency repair consultation 24 hours a day. Downtown Denture Center, just off Nelson at 970 Burrard in the lobby of the Electra Building.
Cowley & Company, car accident lawyers representing personal injury and disability victims in the Lower Mainland. A former chiropractor, Lee Cowley has more than 20 years experience as an attorney in BC. Locations include Abbotsford and Burnaby, with a head office in Surrey, on 104 Avenue at 138th Street.
Foodie World presents Philippine Street, featuring a large selection of Filipino foods. From imported non-perishable products to both packaged seafood and locally caught and very much alive. Foodie World is 75,000 square feet of worldly groceries situated in North Richmond.
My name is Fender Benavides from Drive Motors in Quillam, serving the Filipino community for the past 4 years. Whether you're looking for a minivan, car, truck, SUV, or a crossover, guaranteed financing available. I am here to help. Salamat po.